10 years ago, in 2002, I was in a bad place. The band I had been playing in at the time for about 3 years had broken up. I was broke and living in a small apartment in Kenosha, Wisconsin, about an hour away from Chicago because it was the only city I could afford to live in at the time. And to make matters worse, I also lost my job a few months after my band broke up. I knew there had to be a way to make money with my music. I just didn't know how. Somewhere around this time, I read an article about a Berklee College of Music alumnus that made a living licensing his music in TV and films. This article and the circumstances I found myself living in inspired me to make a serious effort to figure out how to license my own music. I started reading everything I could about the business and gradually started reaching out to publishers and supervisors working in the business. One of the publishers I contacted was a former teacher of mine at Berklee College of Music. She didn't remember me, but invited me to send her a few songs to review anyway. I sent them off and eagerly awaited her response. A few weeks later, I got an email from her. When I saw her name in my inbox, my heart started beating with anticipation. Did she like my music? Would she be able to license it? I opened the email and my excitement quickly turned to disappointment. "Thanks for sending me your music," it read, "but unfortunately I don't have any need for your tracks at the moment. Feel free to send more tracks in the future," she said. I was disappointed, but not entirely surprised. Rejection is par for the course for an aspiring musician, and I had had my fair share of rejection letters at this point. But I was determined to succeed at this. So I started getting analytical. What about my tracks weren't appropriate or needed? My former teacher hadn't really given much of an indication as to what about the tracks she didn't like or why she couldn't use them. The music I sent was from the band I had been playing at the time. We were sort of a jam rock pop band, and we played songs a la Dave Matthews, Fish, String Cheese Incident, and so on. These bands were fairly popular at the time, but it wasn't the kind of stuff you would hear in the background in TV shows very often. So I went back to the drawing board. I wrote several new tracks that were more TV-friendly, or so I hoped. I booked some studio time with a local producer in Chicago who had an amazing home-based studio, and I recorded one song. It's all I could afford. I was collecting unemployment at the time, and I could barely afford my rent, food, and bills. I sent off a CD containing my one song to my former teacher/publisher, and I waited. And I waited, and I waited. 6 weeks went by, and I didn't hear anything back. At that point, I assumed she just wasn't interested. But I woke up one day and decided, what the hell? I'll send her an email and just make sure she got my CD. Within a half hour, she wrote back, "Aaron, I've been meaning to contact you. I love your song," she said, "and I think I know the perfect place for it." She sent me the paperwork the very next day, and within about 3 weeks, my song, "All the Love," made its national television debut on an episode of The Young and the Restless. It was a very exciting moment for me. I was literally jumping up and down with excitement when I heard my song on TV. I made a total of about $1,200 from that one placement alone. I more than recouped my recording costs and had extra money to put towards my rent, bills, and so on. It's now 2012 as I write this, 10 years later, and the amazing thing is that I still get checks for this song every year. Just about a month ago, I received a check for $300 for another placement of this song. The year before that, I made $500, and I've made money year after year from this one song, as well as many others that I've gone on to license into other projects. So if you want to start licensing your own music, all it takes is one song to get started. Don't let rejection get the best of you. Take rejection as feedback, nothing more and nothing less. It's information you can use to figure out how to improve your tracks and write tracks that are more suitable for licensing in TV and films. I'll close this video with an excerpt from my song, "All the Love." Between you and me, I've written much better songs since then, but this is how it all started. When I'm with you, you make me feel alive, and I've only ever wanted to live. Now I see things clearly through my eyes. My senses are acute and I forget myself. And all the love I'm after, I find within your laughter and your touch. And everything I've searched for, I find, and then I find more in your love. It's cold out now, but warm with you inside. The music and the lights I've turned down low. You pull me out from where I sometimes hide and take me to the place I like to go.